What's up guys, it's your boy Zeta, and today for this video, there's actually a very controversial topic I've been waiting to talk about for quite some time. There are a lot of Dragon Ball Z villains, and when it comes to power scaling, if you have a lot of villains, it's going to be really hard to power scale which one is stronger than the other. And Dragon Ball is not really known for making direct statements on who's stronger than who. But despite Dragon Ball's very complicated power scaling, I have come up with my own conclusion on who the strongest villain in Dragon Ball Z actually is. Reading every guidebook, almost every guidebook. I don't know, there might be still more out there. But outside of the guidebooks, I was watching the anime, reading the manga, I was doing every single thing to come up with my giant conclusion on who the strongest villain in Dragon Ball Z truly is. And as you can see by the title of this video, I believe that the strongest villain in Dragon Ball Z is undoubtedly Janemba, and this video is going to perfectly explain why. For this video, I have laid out my argument into a couple of premises in order to make this conclusion, and it's actually very simple. To make some grounds for this argument, we first have to mention, well, the first premise. The first premise is that the movie enemies are stronger than the ones from the TV anime. Now, at first glance, the first premise already seems extremely debatable, as the DBZ movies versus anime debate is a completely different topic in of itself. However, despite previous belief, it's not debatable at all, and here's why. It's confirmed in the Battle of Gods 2013 guidebook that the movie enemies are stronger than the ones that appear in the TV series. This would at least mean that under some form or conceptualization that the movie characters are stronger than the ones from the anime. However, there are a lot of misconceptions that came from this statement because of course Dragon Ball fans can't read. To attack a few interpretations to make this statement look contradictory, let's actually go over a few of them. The first interpretation is, oh well, does that mean that every movie character is stronger than the ones from the anime? No, because Garlic Jr. has a weaker power level than Frieza. Also, Garlic Jr. is in fact a canon Dragon Ball Z character for the main timeline, and he appears after the Z Fighters leave Namek, but before the Android Saga events even happen. And if you have more than 2 brain cells, you know this means Garlic Jr. is not stronger than Cell or Boo. The most reasonable interpretation to define this statement is that each movie character is stronger than their respective anime counterpart. For example, Lord Slug takes place around the same time of the Namek Saga, and Lord Slug is confirmed to be stronger than Frieza. There's also Cooler, who takes place shortly after Mecha Frieza and King Cold get killed, and he's obviously stronger than both of them. And there's also Turles, who takes place in a Saiyan Saga era, and he's stronger than Vegeta. Given the 3 examples I provided to support this interpretation, this would mean that the movie villains are stronger than the anime villains in a chronological context. Now, how does this statement relate to Janemba? Because being stronger than your anime counterpart doesn't necessarily mean that you're stronger than all of the other villains in Z. Well, looking back at the statement, it states that the movie villains are stronger than the ones that appeared in the TV series. Given this statement, it creates the standard that it must be true for the movie villains to be stronger than the ones from the anime. And that brings us to our second premise. The second premise is that it's confirmed that Janemba is in fact the strongest movie villain out of all of the characters within the Dragon Ball Z movies. This is confirmed not only within the Toei website, but is also confirmed by the creator of the Shin Budokai game, who has Janemba as the main villain because he's the strongest villain in the movies. Most people will mutually agree with the idea that Janemba is in fact the strongest movie villain, aside from a select few group of people, that being Broly fanboys. Broly fanboys will immediately appeal to Takao Koyama, who is the creator of all of the Z movies, confirming that Broly is stronger than everyone. The issue is that Broly fanboys really like to ignore that Koyama contradicts himself a lot. For example, he says that Broly and Boo's power is comparable despite the fact that he previously claimed he was above everyone. The strongest contradiction to pretty much dismantle the whole Broly is the strongest tangent is pretty much when Koyama implies that Broly and Fusion Reborn are connected, with Koyama stating that Broly did not appear in Fusion Reborn because of his death in movie 11, which we know how he dies because Goku and Pikkon go to fight Broly in movie 11, and in movie 12 he just doesn't appear, so it's likely that his soul was completely erased. In fact, Broly is so weak in Fusion Reborn that Goku states that the only person he showed Super Saiyan 3 to was Majin Buu, aka the movie version of Fat Buu, meaning that the movie version of Fat Buu is stronger than Broly. Even more evidence that they connect Broly and Fusion Reborn is when they use movie 8 footage for Goku's instant transmission in Fusion Reborn, which is more than likely basically suggesting that, well, they're both connected. And lastly, there seems to be this very strong implication that Koyama is biased, so you should definitely not trust him on his Broly stances. If Janemba is the strongest movie enemy, and the movie enemies have to at least be stronger than the ones from the TV series, then that has to mean that Janemba is the strongest villain in Z. Even more evidence that Janemba would have to scale above the likes of Kid Buu and Buhan, who are the strongest enemies in the main timeline, is that Harudagarn takes place in an age that is after Buhan and Kid Buu, and pretty much is around that same era, and Janemba scales scales above that, and we know Hirudegarn has to scale above Kid Buu or Buuhan. Now that we have Janemba being the strongest, at least statement-wise, are there any feats that also support Janemba being the strongest? And the answer I have to that is pretty much obviously yes. In the Fusion Reborn movie, Fat Janemba is so powerful that he completely rewrites and distorts the entire framework of Otherworld. The Otherworld is stated to be a place that transcends dimensions, and we know this is talking about spatial dimensions because alternative translations that are also official, like the official Spanish translations for the Chosenchu, translate the scan as transcending space and time. This is also further backed up in the anime and the manga, where they pretty much say that Otherworld exists outside of conventional time. Even guides like the Super Exciting Guide provide conceptual statements about it lacking time on a conceptual level, supporting even outer-versal Otherworld. Given all of this data, we can just conclude that the Otherworld would scale from 5D to outer-versal, so low complex multiversal to outer-versal. On top of Fat Janemba's feat that we already discussed, there's also a shitload of statements from Fusion Reborn guides that really have to highlight Janemba's capability of shaking the Otherworld, so they really want to put it in your face. And then there's also just the blatant Super Saiyan 3 Goku shaking the Otherworld thing. Yeah, there's that as well. Fat Janemba then powers up into Super Janemba, which fights Super Saiyan 3 Goku, with this fight being stated to put the Otherworld at stake. The only way you could really beat Janemba if you're weaker than him is if you talk shit to him fast enough. Other than that, you're not beating Janemba. This is kind of all the feats we have for the movie, as there's really nothing else than just macrocosm level feats. Now, aside from these macrocosm level feats, this is not the end of Janemba's power. In fact, it goes even beyond this. In the Shin Budokai game, which we talked about earlier, the creator points out that not only is Janemba the strongest movie villain, but that he is the exact same power as the one in the game. And now that we're discussing Shin Budokai power scaling, it's time to dig deep into the scaling. Janemba is so powerful that he has the ability to warp infinite timelines! Yes, he is so powerful. All of the destruction he wants across endless worlds. I mean, he says it right there when taking the form of Cell. Any world, anytime, all the destruction I want, endless worlds. He's warping other timelines. There's no way that Broly is stronger than Janemba. There's no way Hirudegarn is stronger than Janemba. There's no way Buuhan and Kid Buu are stronger than Janemba. This is the true power of Janemba gang. This is the strongest character in Z, aside from Gogeta and Vegito, of course. These feats are so powerful that they even surpass Super Saiyan God Goku's feat against Beerus. Yeah, you guys heard me. He has better feats than Super Saiyan God Goku and Beerus. Mind you, this guy is a Z character. We haven't even gotten to the realm of Dragon Ball Super yet. And this guy could threaten infinite timelines or have his energy across infinite timelines. Now, the last segment of this video, I want to make it a bit more interesting since we already covered his timeline-destroying feats and the fact that he's stronger than Buuhan and Kid Buu. Now, how well would Janemba perform against the fusions? Well, for one, he's easily beating the living dog shit out of base Vegito, whose power is confirmed to be equal to Buuhan. And before somebody says Vegito was beating up Buuhan and that's somehow a contradiction, the story literally concedes that offensive and defensive sides were switching back and forth. Also, not only that, but Buuhan is stated to hold back many times, and then at the very end, we do actually see feats of them both contending with one another. So don't try to be disingenuous and take clips from the anime out of context. Vegito went Super Saiyan just to prove the point that he was stronger than Buuhan, so it would be completely redundant if his base form was stronger than Buuhan. Now, another interesting debate I'd like to bring up is if Janemba could actually beat Super Vegito, because we see that Super Vegito displays power that is quote-unquote struggling with Buuhan, as we see him kind of struggling to perform the Vice Shout and even has to scream and power up to do so. However, after the Vice Shout, he admits to not trying. So was he really trying, or was it just like an act? Well, in all honesty, what I will tell you is that Super Vegito's full power is in fact Super Saiyan 3 Vegito, as Toriyama confirms that Super Saiyans 2 and 3 are just further powered up versions of Super Saiyan. So a Super Saiyan like Goku and a Super Saiyan like Vegito using their full power is actually Super Saiyan 3. However, despite this fact, I still don't believe that Enraged Buuhan would scale to Super Saiyan Vegito under any metric, because it's confirmed by V-Jump that Super Vegito and Super Gogeta are rivals and are basically relative in power, and that the winner is only determined through time. Also implying that Gogeta would have an edge if the battle is shorter. And within the Fusion Reborn movie, Gogeta absolutely beats the living shit out of Janemba, who, as I previously explained in this video, is stronger than Kid Buu and Buuhan. This would just further prove that Vegito is not trying as a Super Saiyan against Buuhan, so I don't want anyone trying to claim that Enraged Buuhan and Super Saiyan Vegito are equal in power. That's just not true. And I definitely don't want anyone using the argument of, oh, well, Buuhan has that one Ghost Kamikaze scene and he made Vegito run away, dude. That must mean that Buuhan rivals the power of Vegito, bro. That must be the truth. Now, I hope that no one watching this video is unironically using this argument, so let me just clear this up with a lot of research that I'm pretty sure anyone with more than 2 brain cells can look into, but I'll just make this very quick. The Ghost Kamikaze attack is an amplified attack, and on top of this amplified attack, which also means that it doesn't scale to Buhan's strength, it has the Kamehameha and the Masenko combined and fused together to hurt Super Vegito, which means that it's not only an amplified attack, but a further amplified attack with the Kamehameha and the Masenko. This does not scale to Buhan's power, by the way. It amplifies it. It's stronger than Buhan's strength. Now that I got the linguistics and the context cleared up, I think anyone can just mutually agree that Super Vegito would absolutely bitch the donkey fuck out of Janemba very easily. And not only that, but it also explains why Gogeta instantly went Super Saiyan when facing Janemba after Goku and Vegeta fused. Anyway, that's all I got for this video. See ya. I'm gonna be dropping some more videos. I'm very sorry that I wasn't dropping for a couple of days, but don't worry guys, I'm not going away. The consistency is remaining strong. And yeah, that's all I got for this video. See ya.